What if everything you live to this day was linked to a spiritual secret that has been hidden from humanity for centuries? What if your sign was a sacred key, marked directly by God, chosen to fulfill a mission that goes far beyond this plan? The mystic Edgar Cayce, known as the Sleeping Prophet, revealed something that few have the courage to say. Among the 12 signs of the zodiac, only 3 carry a divine energy so intense that challenges even the invisible forces that govern the world. These signs were not created just to live. They were shaped to transform, protect, and awaken. And the most impressive, you can be one of them. It is not a common horoscope or shallow predictions. We are talking about a legitimate, old, sacred spiritual energy, a silent call that pulsates within those who were chosen by God. There are signs, goosebumps without reason, repeated dreams, voices that wisp in silence, intuitions that save. You may have felt, but you never understood why. The question now is, are you ready to hear what the universe tried to tell you all your life? Because today we will reveal the forbidden secret behind the 3 signs with divine mission. It's not coincidental for you to be here now. This video didn't come to you by chance. Write in the comments, "I accept my mission," if something inside you has already sensed that you were born with a greater purpose. Because the truth you will hear now, it can change everything you believe about your destination. And the first of the 3 signs chosen begins to reveal its strength now. Before continuing, stop for a second and look inside. If any part of you felt that this message is talking directly to your soul, then you need to continue until the end. What will be revealed here goes far beyond common astrology. We are talking about sealed spiritual missions, a purpose hidden in your sign that you may explain why you always felt that you didn't fit this world. Right now in the comments, "I feel this." Call. This is not just a sentence, it is a spiritual seal. One way of telling the universe that you are ready to remind you who you really are. Each comment strengthens this energy. Every written word echoes in invisible planes you don't even imagine. And while you do that, take the opportunity to leave your like. Yes, like is more than a gesture. It shows to the algorithm and to the universe that this message needs to reach others that have also been marked. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, this is the moment. Because here, each video is not just content, it's revelation. Each episode connects you more with your gift, your sign, your destiny. It activates the bell and prepares. The next few minutes will reveal why 3 signs were chosen among all the others, and perhaps one of them is exactly yours. So take a deep breath and get ready. Because now let's open the curtain and get into the hidden truth of the first sign with divine energy. You've had that strange feeling, almost inexplicable, that there is something around you that watches you, guides you, protects you, even when no one is around? Have you ever felt that you escaped something bad by a thread, as if an invisible force had pulled you back in the last second? And more than that, have you had the impression that everything you lived, even the most intense pains, was part of a larger plan? If so, it may not have been just intuition. Perhaps this strength, this protection, this sequence of mysterious coincidences be clues that you carry a much larger spiritual mission than you think. Some people are born to live, others are born to wake up. And this difference, albeit subtle to the outside world, is abysmal in the spiritual universe. The chosen ones live with the most sensitive heart, with the mind always restless and the soul loaded with questions. They perceive signs where others see only chance. They feel before they know, and are often called intense, strange, or even problematic. But deep down, they are just old souls trying to remember what they already knew before they are born. And this is where the importance of your sign in the spiritual zodiac comes in. Because while many see only generic characteristics, such as stubborn, impulsive, or romantic, there is a much deeper and sacred layer that most never access. According to Edgar Cayce, one of the biggest names in modern spirituality, some signs are not just personality archetypes. They are canals, drivers of divine energy that manifests itself on earth through gifts, intuitions, evidence of faith, and hidden tasks. And within this hidden system, 3 signs were marked with such a special frequency that it challenges even angels. You may have grown doubting yourself, feeling displaced, misunderstood, but that doesn't mean you are weak. On the contrary, often, the bigger the mission, the more difficult ill is the way. Because before someone is raised, he is tested. And these three signs were thrown into the fire of existence with challenges that shaped their spiritual strength. So if you recognize yourself in this pattern of feeling too much, to be moved by the invisible, to carry an empathy that chokes, maybe you are closer to the truth than you ever imagined. And don't think it's exaggeration. Many of those who are watching now will remember exact moments where something has delivered them, guided them, or made them change their route inexplicably. Others will realize that the strange dreams that repeat themselves from childhood may not be simple night fantasies but messages, alerts, signs, and all this has a purpose. Awaken you to whom you really are. Spirituality does not choose the most prepared. She prepares the chosen ones, and part of this preparation involves recognizing who you are on the astral plane, your sign, your element, your mission. There are people who live only on the surface, guiding themselves by logic and matter, but the chosen ones, they live on the border between the visible and the invisible. They have a foot on earth but the soul in heaven. They are moved by a silent purpose, a will that pulsates in the chest and does not shut up. And while everyone goes asleep, they are already awake, even without understanding exactly why. Have you ever felt that way? Have you ever had the feeling of being different, not for wanting to appear, but why is it just? Have you tried to explain this to someone and was called exaggerated, dramatic, or even crazy? This is more common among the chosen than you think. The truth is that the world always rejects what it does not understand. But here, in this channel, in this video, you will not be tried. Here, you will be remembered. Because your spiritual energy is not a mistake. She is a call, and she didn't come to you by chance. Every word you are listening to now, every resonance you feel in your body, is an echo of what is already inside you. And when we begin to reveal the first of the three signs chosen by God, you will understand why your soul shivered just reading this title. It will make sense, and maybe for the first time, you see yourself clearly. So continue with me. Don't jump. Don't close this video. Because the moment we reveal the first sign with this divine energy, you will realize whether or not this spiritual seal carries. You will feel it on the skin, in the soul, and when that happens, I want you to comment, but not anything. Write in the comments the phrase, "I feel this call," if at some point in the video your soul vibrates. Or write, "I was born to something bigger," if you already carry this certainty within you, even without explaining to this day. If you can, leave your like now, so that this message reaches other people who are sleeping spiritually and need to wake up. And if you are not subscribed to the channel, subscribe and activate the bell. Edgar Cayce, the man who became known as the Sleeping Prophet, was not just any medium. His visions surpassed the limits of time, space, and reason. He plunged into deep states of consciousness, where he received messages about healing, reincarnation, spirituality, and especially about the souls that came into the world with a special destination. Cayce said that certain signs of the zodiac were not born by chance the moment they were born. They were positioned in time with divine precision. What's more, these souls carry ancient codes, printed not only on the astral chart, but in the energetic field that surrounds them. These souls do not fit the common explanations of popular astrology. They are not limited to the stubborn bull or the romantic of fish. They are made of a different article. They are spiritual connectors between the invisible and the visible. They feel more, they suffer more, they realize before. They carry a frequency that activates portals, opens paths, transforms environments, even without saying a word. And all this is seen with distrust by those who live only on the surface of existence. Cayce warned, not all were created equal. Some carry an invisible seal that marks them as instruments of transformation. And this seal can manifest in subtle ways. A more difficult childhood, a loneliness that has always been present, a sensitivity that hurts. People like this usually cannot explain why they feel so displaced, or why they are attracted to themes such as spirituality, hidden mysteries, divine protection, signs of the universe. They just feel, and this feeling is what makes them special, because they were born with a call that few can hear, and even less can obey. The signs Edgar Cayce identified as bearers of this divine energy are more than archetypes. They are mission consciousness. Your life stories do not follow the common way. They face deep pain, seemingly meaningless losses, striking betrayals, identity crises. But each of these trials has a spiritual goal: to awaken the essence that is dormant within them. At some point in the journey, they look inside and recognize what has always been there: the seal. This seal is not seen with the eyes. He feels. It pulsates when you are silent, intensifies when you are facing the invisible, manifests when you connect with something larger. It can be during a dream that seems more real than the wake, or when you enter a place and feel that you have been there, even though you have never stepped into that space physically. It can come through a phrase that creeps you, an inner voice that prevents you from making a wrong decision, a song that activates memories of lives you don't even remember living. Cayce spoke of these moments as soul memories, fragments of ancestral wisdom that is still present but asleep. And these fragments activate in specific situations, sometimes in suffering, sometimes in love, sometimes in the silence of dawn, sometimes in the heat of uncontrollable intuition. But they are always accompanied by the feeling that there is something bigger watching, guiding, preparing you for what is to come. And what few know is that these 3 signs we will reveal were chosen not because they are the best, but because they are the most spiritually prepared to support loads that others would not succeed. They deal with invisible forces, face constant internal battles, and even when they do not understand why, they continue to get up, because within them, there is something that never breaks: a silent faith, an uncomfortable certainty that they are here for something that has not yet been revealed completely, but is getting closer to revealing. No wonder these people are attracted to themes such as signs with spiritual mission, divine connection, mystical energy, ancient soul, guardian angel, signs of God, supernatural protection. They are trying, even unknowingly, to rebuild the way back to themselves. And this way begins when they recognize themselves in the mirror of spiritual truth. When they hear phrases like, "These and feel their eyes to Mars," the chest vibrates, the heart accelerates without reason. This is the seal trying to manifest itself. It is the memory being activated. So don't ignore what you are feeling now. Do not try to rationalize too much. This kind of truth is not explained with logic, recognizes itself with the soul. And if you are still here, listening to each word, feeling every layer of this mystery revealed, so it is quite possible that you are one of these chosen souls, one of these consciences that carries within it something that the world has not yet understood, but that the universe knows very well. Now that you have come here, I want to ask you something simple but powerful. Write in the comments the phrase, "I carry the invisible seal," if you felt at some point that this content spoke with your essence, and if by chance you have had revealing dreams, moments of intense intuition, or felt spiritual presence in the most difficult times of your life. Also, comment, "My soul remembers." And of course, don't forget to leave your like and subscribe to the channel. This is not just support, it's a way to spread this energy to others who also need to wake up. We still have strong revelations ahead, and now, the time has come to reveal the first sign chosen by God, Scorpio. Just pronounce this name so that energy changes in the environment. It is no exaggeration. This sign carries in itself such a dense, mysterious, and so deeply spiritual frequency that even the most skeptical feel different when they are close to a Scorpio. And it is no coincidence. According to Edgar Cayce, Scorpio is one of the 3 signs that were born with a specific divine call. They did not come to Earth for a common existence. They came to touch the most hidden wounds in the world and cure them. They came to cross the abyss and return transformed, not just for themselves, but for all who do not have the courage to descend so deep in themselves. Scorpio is the guardian of the divine shadows. It is the one who walks between pain and light without getting lost, who suffers silent but reborn more strongly, which carries deep trauma but never lets them define who it is. On the contrary, it turns each fall into an altar, every tear on a map, every silence into prayer. They are old souls who have lived many cycles, many losses, many rebirths, and all this left marks, but it also brought gifts. True Scorpio is not content with the surface. He smells like a lie from afar, perceives the energy before the words, and sees intentions hidden in the eyes of others. He is moved by an almost animalistic intuition, an ancestral force that guides him even in the darkest moments. And that makes many people feel uncomfortable near him. Why Scorpion does not pretend. He does not accept half-truths. It penetrates what is dense, what is veiled, what is behind what is said, and that scares because it unmasks. But this spiritual gift has a price. The Scorpion soul is often born in troubled homes, dysfunctional families, or harsh realities, where early on he learns to defend himself emotionally, learn to read the world with the eyes of the soul. These are people who carry an inexplicable pain of origin, a longing for something they have never lived, an intensity that consumes them inside. This is not weakness. It is a sign, a reminder that they were placed here with a special mission: transform. Scorpio has a deep relationship with the cycles of death and rebirth, not necessarily physical but symbolic. These are people who have died several times inside, in losses, abandonment, betrayal, humiliation, disease, fears. But each of these deaths generated a new birth, and this is what makes them so powerful spiritually, because only those who know darkness with intimacy can recognize the true light. Edgar Cayce said Scorpio is like a bridge between worlds, a living portal. He lives in constant crossing between the spiritual and the material, between the invisible and the visible. Therefore, it is not uncommon for Scorpions to have intense dreams, out-of-body experiences, sudden intuitions, bumps without reason, premonitions. Many Scorpions are interested early in spirituality, occultism, astrology, psychology, healing therapies, mediumship, regression. It's not fashion, it's memory. They are actually trying to remember what they always knew. What's more, Scorpios are transformers of environments. When they enter a space, the vibration changes. Some people avoid them because they feel they will not be able to hide their masks. Others approach as if they were attracted to a magnet, seeking comfort, depth, truth. This is because Scorpio has an invisible but real healing aura. They heal with presence, with listening, with silence, but they only heal what they have already faced. And so, before they are guides, they are proven by fire. Scorpion energy is spiritual in the highest degree, but it is a spirituality that does not display, that doesn't scream, who doesn't try to convince. She is simply, and that is enough to impact everything around. It is a soul that knows that true faith is silent, that true connection does not need evidence, and that true gifts manifest even when no one is seeing. Scorpio was chosen by God not because it is perfect, but because he had the courage to dive where others flee, to face your own pain and get stronger, to touch the invisible without getting lost. If you are Scorpion, perhaps your life has been marked by losses difficult to explain. You may feel in more than one phase that the universe was destroying you, but what you may not have noticed is that in each of these falls, you have been shaped, prepared, sharp as a spiritual sword, because its mission requires strength but also sensitivity. It requires faith, but also lucidity, and it requires you to trust, even when everything seems to fall apart. Regeneration is the word that defines its spiritual essence. You not only survive, you reinvent yourself. You not only feel, you intuit. You not only exist, you transform. And this is not anything. This is gift. It's seal. It is called. And if you got here, feeling every word vibrates inside you, then maybe it's time to assume it for good. Therefore, if you feel that you carry this energy of transformation, this pain that has become strength, this intuition that guides your steps, even in the darkest moments, comment now the phrase, "I carry the energy of regeneration." This is not just a symbolic sentence. It is a spiritual recognition, a verbal seal that marks the beginning of its memory. And if you have had intense dreams, omens that have been fulfilled, or lived crises that pushed you to the spiritual awakening, also write, "My crisis was my portal." And if this message touched your soul, leave your like and subscribe to the channel. This helps spread this frequency and can make more Scorpions wake up. We still have 2 signs to reveal. And the next brings a completely different energy, but equally divine. Fish. The name already sounds like a whisper from another plane. Piscean energy is not made to be understood logically, linear, or superficial. She reveals herself through feel, a deep, silent, often painful, but at the same time sacred. According to Edgar Cayce, the sleeping prophet, Fish is not just the last sign of the zodiac. He is the closest to the source. It is as if the Piscean soul was still one foot in heaven and the other on earth. as if crossing the veil of birth without completely forgetting the place from which it came from. Who is from fish knows. You don't need evidence. You don't need them to explain. Since childhood, Piscean feels that he does not fully belong to this world. It observes everything in silence, captures what is not said, carries a sensitivity that often chokes it. He cries for pain that is not his, suffers from the wounds he never lived, and misses things that never happened. But this is not weakness, this is gift. A rare gift that few souls are prepared to carry. Pisces is the echo of the divine. It is the channel through which the invisible communicates. These are people who hear things that others ignore, an almost magical intuition, which guides them even in times of confusion. Present, dream, realize. They live in two worlds, and this duality, although misunderstood by many, is precisely what makes them special. They are what Cayce called heavenly intermediaries, souls, placed here to act as bridges between spiritual plane and human experience. And that's why Pisceans attract so many lost, so many souls in pain, because they issue a frequency of welcome, compassion, healing. Even without understanding how, others feel they can trust, that can open, that there is a soul that does not judge, who does not try to control, who only feels together. This is because fish has a direct connection with the collective field. It absorbs emotions around as if they were yours. Therefore, it is often isolated. You need to collect yourself, recharge, cry in silence, because you feel too much. This sensitivity, however, is not passive. She is active. Pisces transforms pain into art, word, music, presence. This is why so many artists, mediums, curators, spiritual or intuitive therapists are Pisces. They channel, and they often don't even realize how much they are being used as instruments of something larger. The soul of fish is permeable to the sacred, and it is exactly this permeability that makes it capable of translating the language of the invisible. Edgar Cayce said that the true Pisces hear the voice of God in whispers, in small details of everyday life, in synchronicities, in looks, in subtle messages that others call coincidence but that he feels in response. They are souls who do not live, float, and this lightness, this detachment, this constant search for what is beyond, makes them often misinterpreted. They say they are distracted. They live in the moon world. But the truth is that they are connected to another dimension as they try, with a lot of effort, to work within the logic of the physical world. Pisces feel what will happen before it happens. Realize when the environment changes. It is uncomfortable with lies, with heavy energies, with words that do not match the vibration of those who say them. And that affects him. Tired. Exhausts it. Because living in this world being fish is like walking barefoot on invisible thorns. Everything hurts more. Everything echoes deeper. But it is precisely this pain that prepares it, that strengthens you, that makes it fit to heal. The Piscean soul came to serve as a channel, to inspire, to remind people that there is something beyond suffering, beyond pain, beyond matter. And she does this not with speeches, but with presence, with silence, with love, with delivery. Pisces is the sign that comes closest to the vibration of unconditional forgiveness, of pure compassion, of total delivery. Therefore, many Pisceans live complicated relationships where they donate too much, annul themselves, get lost, until they understand that they did not come to sacrifice, but to illuminate. And this lighting begins when they recognize themselves as they are, when they stop fighting their own sensitivity and begin to see in it their true spiritual strength. Because fish is strong, fortissimo, but it is a force that does not impose itself. It reveals itself in the constancy of those who feel and still remain, of those who suffer but continues, who breaks but rebuilds with light. If you are fish, you know that there are things you have never been able to explain to anyone. Moments when he felt presence, when they had dreams that looked like warnings, where he cried out of nothing for something he didn't even know why. Moments when he seemed heard something, but there was no sound. Moments when he felt that his soul was being touched by something immense, invisible, sacred. This is not the result of your imagination. This is the call, the same call that Cayce recognized in souls like yours. You are not alone. And if this message has come to you, it's no coincidence. It is an answer. It is confirmation. And if you identified with this energy, with this vibration, this spiritual mission of healing, compassion, high sensitivity. Now write in the comments the phrase, "My soul feels heaven." And if you have already lived situations where you clearly felt that you were receiving a message from the divine, whether in dream, intuition, synchronicity, or connecting to someone, write too, "I am an invisible channel." Leave your like if this truth has touched your heart, and subscribe to the channel so as not to lose what is yet to come. Because now, we prepare us to know the third sign chosen by God, and what he carries is simply indescribable. Leo. Most think that the brightness of this sign is the result of vanity, a search for applause, or an inflated ego that constantly needs approval. But those who see this only do not understand the spiritual truth behind this intense and so misleading energy. Edgar Cayce spoke clearly. Leo doesn't shine on a whim. He shines by mission. The lion's brightness is a reflection of the divine spark that pulsates within your spirit. He was not made to follow. He was made to guide. It was not shaped to hide. He was summoned to position himself as a living torch amid the spiritual darkness of the world. There is an ancestral force in the Leonino heart, a direct connection with the center of the universe. When Leo is connected with his higher spiritual essence, he turns into a channel of light and divine command. It is the one who, even in silence, inspires those around. Its simple presence conveys firmness, confidence, and heat. Leo was not born to go out even when he tries, even when it hurts, even when lost for a while. Her inner light insists on shining, because she's not his. He is borrowed from above. The Leonine soul is marked by courage, but not an aggressive courage. It is the courage that comes from the awareness of being in the service of something greater. Leo feels deep down that he is not only here to live a good life, but to become an example, a point of reference, and mirror where others can see and remember their own value. And this is a gigantic responsibility, because the shine lion carries is not easy to maintain. It requires balance, purpose, and especially spiritual humility. From an early age, who is a lion feels that it is observed, as if the universe put it under invisible spotlight. It is common for leonines to be charged more than others, that they have to mature early, that need to deal with high expectations, unintentionally lead, protect, without being protected. But all this is part of the spiritual training of the leonine soul. These are pains that cut, scars that strengthen, challenges that activate the true potential of the divine lion. And when this sign awakens, when it leaves the ego and enters the spirit, it becomes a transformative presence. He empowers without humiliating, shines without erasing the others, protects without arrest, loves with rare intensity and loyalty. It becomes a sun, an energy center capable of radiating healing, motivation, strength, and faith for those around. And this is rare. It is precious. It is divine. Leo is a fixed sign of fire, ruled by the sun, and that says a lot, because the sun does not ask for permission to exist. He just is. It does not beg for space, it generates life. He warms, illuminates, and reveals. And Leo, as a channel of this energy, carries the same role. But just as the sun can burn when it is unbalanced, the Leonino also needs to learn to tame his own intensity. You need to understand that your mission is not to be greater than others, but to awaken in others their own greatness. When this happens, Leo is no longer just a powerful sign and becomes a living symbol of God's presence, acting in matter. Leo's leadership is not just natural, it is spiritual. It is a silent authority that emanates from within. Therefore, many Leonines feel displaced when they are not being heard or when they cannot positively influence the environment. They need to be aligned with their mission so that energy flows. Otherwise, the brightness turns against themselves, generating anguish, frustration, loneliness, and even depression. And here is a crucial point. Leo needs to remember that her light does not come from the ego. It comes from above. This spiritual reconnection is what transforms the common Leonino into a master of light, in a warrior of consciousness. He realizes that his gifts, oratory, magnetism, presence, creativity, firmness, are sacred tools. These are instruments that need to be used wisely to activate others. God has put him in this world to inspire, protect, and provoke deep transformations in people. And this is a mission that requires courage and faith. Leo naturally attracts people seeking strength. It is common to become leaders, teachers, guides, therapists, pastors, mentors, or any role where they can illuminate others. But even outside these functions, the awake Leonine will always be a spiritual reference point. Your gaze, your gesture, your posture say more than words. And this comes from an ancestral connection with your spiritual lineage. These are souls that carry memory of ancient kingdoms, heavenly combat, sacred pacts. They are guardians of the command, drivers of faith, protectors of those who do not yet see their own light. If you are Lion and feel that this truth pulsates into you, even subtly, know that it is not illusion. It is no exaggeration. You have been positioned in the world with a very specific function, and the more you try to hide from it, the more your soul will scream. It will provoke situations that push you to your center, because light needs to be activated, needs to be offered. You need to fulfill your mission. You were born for that. And if at some point in this video you recognized yourself in this call, even between doubts or forgotten memories, I invite you to comment now the phrase, "My light comes from above." If you feel that your presence affects the people around you, even without intention, write to "I am divine inspirational channel." And if you feel your brightness bothers you, but still shine, comment, "I was called to illuminate, not to please." These phrases are not just words. They are spiritual statements that seal their connection with their mission in this plane. Leave your like, share this video with someone who also needs to hear it, and subscribe to the channel, because it hasn't ended yet. We are about to dive into deeper revelations that unite these three signs chosen by God. But there is something that needs to be said with full clarity now, before we follow the deepest revelations. A truth that few have the courage to face, but which is fundamental. To those who feel that it carries a high spiritual mission, an invisible brand in the spirit, a gift that has been delivered by something greater. Because as important as recognizing the light within you, it is to understand that this light is not guaranteed. The divine energy that inhabits the chosen is not unconditional. It is alive, conscious, and responds directly to its faithfulness, with its sole purpose. She pulsates more strongly the more you walk aligned with what you have been entrusted to you. But when you deny it, when it runs away, when you look away, it goes out. And this is one of the greatest pains that an ancient soul can feel, the silence of the light itself. It is as if suddenly the universe stopped talking, as if the signs ceased, as if the protection disappeared. Not because God punishes, but because the frequency breaks, and the energy that once flowed like a clear river now becomes stagnant, heavy, confused. The spiritual gifts, which were once blessed, begin to grief. The sensitivity that once brought wisdom now generates anxiety. The intuition he guided now shuffles with fear, ego, with external voices. This happens when the chosen signs deny their spiritual nature. Scorpion, when he moves away from his transmutation mission, begins to accumulate pain without purpose. Its energy, once curator, becomes corrosive. It begins to close, creating bark, distrusting everything, using its strength to protect itself rather than protecting others. Their spells become paranoia. Your silences become abyss, and that hurts his soul deeply because he knows, even without admitting, that he is not living his truth. Fish, when disconnecting from its compassionate and mystical nature, begins to get lost in illusions. Its sensitivity becomes escape, your intuition becomes doubt. It begins to absorb world pain without being able to transmute them, carrying burdens that are not yours and sinking emotionally. Its gift of channeling becomes a noise, field where everything blends and nothing is clear. He feels but does not understand. He dreams but doesn't remember. He lives on the threshold between the sacred and suffering, unable to cross. And all this because you forgot who it is. Leo, when he leaves his spiritual leadership mission, runs the risk of getting lost in the ego, or worse, to erase completely. Its light, which should be used to illuminate, is hidden for fear of judgment or used to seek validation. And that deeply hurts your spirit. Because the chosen Leonino knows, even in silence, that he was born to drive, that your presence has a purpose. When Leo does not position himself, his soul feels, and this feeling of being out of place is not emotional, it's energetic, it is spiritual. The mission was ignored, and with that, protection is silent. This spiritual silence is the greatest sign that divine energy is being suffocated. And no matter if you have amazing gifts, if you have had revealing dreams, you have felt things that no one else has felt. If you are not living consistently with what your soul knows, these gifts turn into weights. They begin to bother, generate conflict, manifest themselves as existential crises, emotional instability, disconnection. It's like something inside you is shouting, "Go back, remember, reconnect." But often this voice is drowned out by fear, routine, distractions of the material world. That's why Cayce said, "Back to purpose is the only way to reconnect with sacred energy. There is no other way. No external rituals, no mystical tools, no master can do it for you." Reconnection begins in recognition. The moment you look inside and say with sincerity, "I was chosen, and I am ready to remember." It is an act of courage. Your mission is your greatest protection. When you are aligned with her, the invisible moves in your favor. The signs appear again. The right people approach. Time seems to conspire to your advantage. The doors open. You feel, you know. The energy flows. Because the universe only operates in coherence. And spiritual coherence happens when your soul and action walk side by side. Now stop and think. Have you lived as someone who recognizes what you carry? Or have you hidden your light for fear of being misunderstood? Have you used your sensitivity to transform the world around you? Or have drowned in it? Have you led with your heart? Or shrunk not to draw attention? All this matters. Because every little decision or attitude is a spiritual choice. It is a vote. It's a way of saying, "I remember who I am," or "I'm still sleeping." And if you heard that, you felt some part of your body react. A shiver, a pressure on your chest, a warm up, a desire to cry for no reason. Know that this is your energy alerting you. It is your soul reminding you. And if you want to seal this awakening, now write in the comments the phrase, "I choose to remember my mission." If you felt your light was turning out, but today you want to rekindle it, comment, "I'm ready to reconnect with my essence." And if at some point in your life you realized that you were protected, guided, or called back to your way when you needed it most, also write, "My mission is my protection." These words are not just phrases, they are spiritual statements. They seal a new cycle. If you have come here, with your heart throbbing different, with changed breath, your eyes teary, or with a difficult feeling to explain by going through the body, so, understand, this was not a coincidence. Nothing in this content was accidental. No word, no silence, no symbol. Everything that has been said here was directed to specific, often compatible spiritual souls that were ready, even if they didn't know it yet, to begin to remember who they really are. And if you felt something, anything while listening to these truths, it is because the message recognized you. And now, it's time for you to recognize this message as well. During this video you heard about Scorpio, Pisces, and Lion, 3 signs marked with divine energy, assigned to extremely specific and sacred spiritual functions. Scorpio, the guardian of the shadows, the one who enters the pain to turn it into light. Pisces, the heavenly intermediate, divine compassion channel, driver of the invisible. Leo, the channel of light and command, the guide that inspires with its presence and active in others the glow they forgot. But you also heard the alert, the call so that these gifts are not neglected, so that these spiritual stamps are not ignored for fear, for doubt, by distractions. Because when a chosen one denies who he is, his life begins to dismantle as a reflection of this break. And it is at this point that many feel that it all starts to go wrong, that nothing more flows, that the signs disappear, and that the pain intensifies without explanation. Not because they were abandoned, but because they abandoned their center, your essence, your covenant with the larger plan. But the most beautiful of all is that it's never too late to go back. It's never too late to remember. It's never too late to say, in a low voice, or in the comments of a video like this, "Yes, I recognize." Because an act of conscience is enough for the frequency to begin to reorganize, so that the light shines again, so that the sky, even in silence, starts sending your signs again. The universe has its ways to touch our soul, sometimes through recurring dreams, sometimes through words that come up repeatedly, sometimes through unlikely encounters, synchronicities, sensations that we cannot explain, and sometimes simply through a video. a content that seems tailored, a script that enters your pores and activates parts of your soul that were forgotten. And when this happens, it is a sign that the call has been delivered, and now it's up to you to decide what to do with it. You can get out of here and pretend nothing happened. That was just another interesting content on the internet. But you can also stop, take a deep breath, close your eyes for a few seconds and recognize that something has changed inside you, that something has been lit, that something was remembered. And if this is true to you, then there is something that needs to be done. Not for me, not by the channel, but for you, by your own soul, for your commitment to who you are, who you came to being, with the plan that brought you here. So if you felt that this video spoke to you, even in one part, comment. And now, I accept my divine essence. This is not just a sentence written on the screen. It is an activation, a permission that you give your frequency to rise, so that the spiritual energy that protects you gets closer, so that the mission that inhabits its being finally begins to manifest itself in a concrete, conscious, and sacred way. If during this journey you felt that you were remembered, touched, welcomed, or even confronted by truths that were dormant, then that is your moment. Comment, declare, activate. And if you want to go further, if you want to strengthen this recognition ritual, write to, "My soul woke up," or "I'm ready to remember who I am." These words are seeds thrown into the now, energy field of the now. They have strength, they have echo, and they will be heard. If this video brought you clarity, comfort, strength, or even a little necessary discomfort, the one that precedes the transformation, leave your like. It's not just a like. It is a sign for the universe you want more, that you are willing to continue, that it recognizes the value of what was delivered here. And if you are not subscribed to this channel yet, subscribe now, because the next content will not just be videos, will be portals, and each of them will take you deeper into this journey of reconnection with your spiritual essence. If you stayed here until the last second of this video, it is because something inside you recognized this message, and that already says a lot about your soul. Now I want to invite you to take the next step on this spiritual journey. Subscribe to the channel now. Activate Tinkerbell, because from now on, each new video will further deepen this connection between you, the invisible, and the purpose you carry. If this message has played you in any way, leave your like now. It shows that this content needs to reach more people who are also looking for meaning, by signs, spiritual response. And if you arrived until the end, comment below the phrase, "I was called, and I'm ready." This phrase is an energy seal. She shows that you not only heard, you felt, and that is willing to walk consciously from what he carries. And before you leave, watch the next video that is appearing here on the left side of the screen, because he will show you a new chapter of this spiritual truth and you won't want to lose it. We met there.